There is that saying that goes, "Don't blame a clown for being a clown, blame yourself for going to the circus." And so I say, "And the one who broke you can't heal you." Go to the circus. I think you should, because what you're doing is somebody has shown you their true colors. They're a clown, and you're refusing to see them for who they are by saying, "I'm not gonna go to the circus anymore." It's like in your mind, you're saying, if I don't put myself in a position where I get to see them for who they are, if I filter myself enough, if I use the right words, if I avoid certain topics, if I stay detached and let them be who they want to be, then I won't see them for who they are. And it's like they've already revealed to you who they are. The issue is that you're not accepting that this is how they're always going to show up when they're in their natural environment. So, yeah, go to the circus, see them for who they are, and then decide this person is completely out of my life.
Welcome back, Najwa, to the Heal Your Heartbreak podcast. It has been I'm always so happy when people circle back when they have something new. So I'm really happy to talk to you, and I'm so excited about this new book you have.
I'm really excited to talk to you again. I remember our last conversation was great. Like it was just soulful and I left feeling so refreshed. So I know it's going to be a great conversation again.
Yeah. Well, that makes me very happy to hear. So the first thing that I was struck by with your new book is the title. I mean, I feel like I just love titles where you're like, oh, I know what this is talking about right away. And it is like, the one who hurt you can't heal you is it's such an intuitive statement in so many ways where people hear it and they're like, yeah, that makes sense. But to me, it feels like one of the hardest things to actually not just intellectualize, but get on a deep level. And I'm curious, like, what were you seeing with the people you were working with or just
Mhm.
out in the world that inspired you to think like this needs its own dedicated book on this topic?
Mhm. I find most people struggle with letting go of the person who hurt them. And it's not because they don't know that that person is wrong for them. It's not because they don't realize, this person really, truly hurt me. It's because they're looking for an answer to the question of why. Like, why would somebody who said they loved me so much hurt me? Why would somebody who said they would never lie to me actually lie to me? Why would somebody who said they wanted to spend the rest of their life with me turn their back on me? Why would a friend of mine who I thought was so loyal to me and had my best interest in mind go and backstab me and assassinate my character? And it's why? We look for closure. We want the answer. Why did you hurt me? How could you do that? And I feel like within looking for that answer, we're kind of looking for something about us that inherently deserved to be broken, that inherently deserved the pain that they put us through. And the reason we do that isn't because we're weak or stupid. It's because we feel like if it has to do with us, then that means it's within our control and we can do
Mhm.
something about it to change it. And the truth is, sometimes people hurt you because they are people who hurt people. And sometimes people lie to you because they are liars, because lying comes easily to them, not because you deserved the lie, not because you're naive and you believed them. Sometimes people cheat on you because they're cheaters or because their moral compass is very different from yours. Sometimes people turn their backs on you because loyalty doesn't mean what it means to you. Their loyalty goes where their interests go. And so I wrote The One Who Broke You Can't Heal You to remind every single person who reaches out to me and new audiences that You don't need closure to move on. You don't need to know the why that prompted somebody in your life to do the thing they did. It's enough that they did it. That's your closure. You can choose to close the door on the past on your own and say, I'm not looking back. I don't need to know why you turned out to be a terrible person towards me. I just need to radically accept that that is actually who you are and no longer try to change you. So the one who broke you can't heal you. You can heal you. That's the most important message in the book is it's not just about putting that story behind you and saying, well, that person was terrible and I'm never dealing with them again. It's also about saying, I can actually put together all the pieces that they broke. And I actually have a responsibility to do that because if I don't, I'm going to move forward to future relationships in my life where I start them broken and then I get broken even more.
Yeah, I mean, you just brought up so many good points. I do think there's that fear-based element of when something feels like it's going so well and then the rug's ripped out from underneath you, when you're even if it's like even if you've accepted that you are not going to be with this person, looking forward with that surprise element, you want it to be something, like you said, within your control so you can, because the biggest thing is like, how do I make sure I'm not hurt like that again? And so if it's something I did, or if it's a red flag that I missed, or it's something that I can have a concrete thing of what to work on, then it won't happen again. So I think that's, another element of it too, where it's scary to think about, okay, if someone loved me and then hurt me, that means that I'm always at risk for someone loving me and then hurting me.
Yes.
So, and I think with like this idea of closure and the why, do you feel like there are other things aside from closure that people are looking for from the one that broke them?
Yes. We are usually attracted to people who are familiar to us, who reinforce for us beliefs that we developed early on in our lives. And sometimes we look for our healing from all our past experiences, from all those old beliefs through these new people who've hurt us because we think if I can change this person's mind about me, if I could get them to see me differently, as worthy of love, as worthy of honesty, as worthy of loyalty, then I can change the belief about myself that I've had for so long from my parents or the caring adults in my life or society that told me that I don't deserve all of those things. So we try to change this person who broke us, who we trusted with every fiber of our being to change that belief for us, but they ended up proving it to us. And so we think
Yeah.
if I can change their opinion of me, their view of me, then I can change my view of myself. So we look for healing in the
Mhm.
person who showed us that all they're willing to do is break us even more than we're already broken. And again, we don't do it out of stupidity. We do it out of this is how your nervous system operates. It tells you you're in danger if you give yourself permission to see somebody for who they actually are. Because if you decide to leave, something tells you, I can't survive without this person. I can't survive without their validation of me as being worthy of whatever it is that I'm looking to tell myself I'm worthy of. So we look for closure. We look for them to change our lives and change our situation. And it's just simply something that they can't give to us. It's something that nobody could give to us. And one thing I say, I firmly believe this, like with every cell in my body even if the person who hurt you apologized. And even if they validated what they put you through and said to you, I knew what I was doing and it was awful and it was terrible and I knew how it hurt you, that doesn't heal you. You still have to heal the parts of you that trusted somebody and ended up broken by them. You still have to get over the trust issues that they planted within you. You still have to sit there and ask yourself, why did I overlook those red flags? Why did I not trust my gut when they did this thing or said this thing? You still have to do the work. We think, oh, if that person just realizes, if I could sit with them and explain to them just how their behavior affected me and just how badly they hurt me, they're going to see the light and say, "Oh, I hurt you so much and I'm really sorry and that was terrible and it was awful and I'm gonna be fine." And it doesn't work that way. Sometimes when the apology comes, you realize, "That's actually not what I wanted. What I wanted was for you to never hurt me in that way in the first place. What I wanted is for you to be the person that you showed me you were for the longest time." So it's really interesting once you think about it that way, to think that you hung your healing and you're moving on these words, "I'm sorry, I knew what I was doing." And then you get them and you feel absolutely nothing.
First, I wholeheartedly agree with you on yes, if you could and, not even just, like, admitting that they hurt you, but also even if you could make a list of every single question you have about why they hurt you, why they decided to end the relationship like this, why did they do this, why did they do that? Even if you got every single question of that answered and got the sorry, it's still and I've never heard the point that you said about what you really wish is that they never hurt you in the first place. That is like the only true desired outcome most likely, and anything else under that isn't going to do the thing that we feel like it will. And the other point you raised that I think is interesting is we do look to get our pain validated by the person who caused the pain. And I think it raises an interesting point of a lot of us probably aren't validating our own pain in the way that we need. And I think sometimes, especially when it comes to heartbreak, we can think of it as this like trivial thing of, okay, I just need to get over it. I need to get back to work. I need to get back to this and that. And we don't take the time to really sit and say, wow, I'm really heartbroken. I was really betrayed. And this deserves my attention. This deserves my time to heal this.
Mhm. As you were talking, it just crossed my mind how many times in our lives we dwell in the trenches of, how do I say this the right way? We dwell in the trenches of the tough realization that somebody turned out to be not who we thought they were. And we struggle so much with that. And we think, what caused the change? Like if I really believe that the best case scenario would have been that this person never hurt me in the first place, then what I'm really saying is I don't accept seeing them for who they are after they showed me who they are. And so you get stuck in that really dark place and you don't know how to get out of it because you're still seeing the old version of them. And there's one part in The One Who Broke You Can't Heal You where I give this analogy of um, going to the circus. Because, there is that saying that goes, um, uh, don't don't blame a clown for being a clown, blame yourself for going to the circus. And so I say in The One Who Broke You Can't Heal You, go to the circus. I think you should, because what you're doing is somebody has shown you their true colors. They're a clown, and you're refusing to see them for who they are by saying, "I'm not gonna go to the circus anymore." It's like in your mind, you're saying, if I don't put myself in a position where I get to see them for who they are, if I filter myself enough, if I use the right words, if I avoid certain topics, if I stay detached and let them be who they want to be, then I won't see them for who they are. And it's like they've already revealed to you who they are. The issue is that you're not accepting that this is how they're always going to show up when they're in their natural environment. So, yeah, go to the circus, see them for who they are, and then decide, this person is completely out of my life. The problem is when we keep somebody in our life and continue to treat them based on that old version of them. The analogy I use in the book is, it's like the new version of them is in front of you, but it's see-through, and underneath, you can see the person who you really thought they were and who you really want them to be. You could still, it's like they're see-through, and you're aware this is not who you are anymore, but you still think that that good person who would never break you in that way is there. And it's like your job to bring them back to life. It's your job to remind
Mm.
them of how good it was to be that way. And that comes from a really good place. And I know I've heard so many people say, like, you should treat people in a way that brings out the best in them. But when somebody is consistently breaking you, or even if they broke you that one time, and when I say broke you, I don't mean things like a little lie or a little act of inconsideration. When somebody breaks you, they really uh, they extract from within you your sense of reality or ability to tell the difference between right and wrong. They make you question yourself in a way, and your gut and your intuition, and just your whole system, the way you've been operating. So somebody who broke you can't be the person who's going to look at all the good that you're doing in response to the way they broke you and say, "Oh, I messed up. I feel so bad." Usually people who have the people who are willing, I was gonna say people who have the courage, but I'm not gonna say courage because it doesn't take courage to hurt someone. It takes cowardice to hurt someone. People who are willing to hurt you are not the ones who deserve that you treat them in a way that brings out the best in them. You don't owe them that. It's not your job to fix somebody who broke you, and it's not your job to make the person who broke you regret that they broke you. It's not your job to make them see the light. That's on
Yes.
them, right?
Yeah.
But we put
Yes.
all of our energy into, it's like this weird manipulative thing where they know if they hurt you in some way, you're gonna try harder to please them, or you're gonna try harder to show them how much you believe in them. It's like they can't deal with their own shame, and you're gonna deal with it on top of what they did to you.
Yeah, that is such a good way to put it. I mean, gosh, the way you describe things is so it's so insightful, and yes, I agree with everything that you have said, and I have, talked to listeners who, say that, if I don't speak up or if I don't do this, then I'm quote unquote letting them get away with it. And
Mhm.
it's like, no, you're not letting them get away with it. That's going to follow them when they go. Like, it's not your responsibility to teach someone a lesson, especially if it's at the expense of your own sanity, your own peace, all of those things. And when you were talking to like the idea of accepting someone for what they showed you, I think that is, going back to what you were saying in the beginning of, sometimes people cheat because they are cheaters. Sometimes they lie because, lying comes easy to them. And there are things that people do to us that we don't necessarily have like a part in. However, once they do show us that and we continue to try to see them as someone else, then that becomes something, that we need to work on. That does become something that we're doing to hurt ourselves.
Oui.
And so I think, and it reminded me of, I was in a relationship for a while with someone who was very truthful to me about not wanting to get married and not wanting to be in a long-term relationship. That was something I wanted, and I tried so hard to like make myself small to be like, well, if I'm not that needy, maybe they will want to be in a long-term relationship. And after we were apart for a long period of time, I ran into them and I said to them, I apologize for not believing what you said and trying to make you into someone that you weren't. And that was something that came with time. And it was very freeing to me to be able to say that, and not that I owed them that apology, but for me it felt good to be able to say like, wow, I just wasn't seeing you for who you said you
Mhm.
were, and that ended up hurting me. um and and yeah, so I just think, yes, there does become a responsibility on us when someone does show us who they are, that we do need to act in that way and not try to change them.
Yes, absolutely, and thank you for sharing that. I think taking responsibility and just being introspective about our own the price we pay for our own suffering, our own, investment in our own suffering is very important. Like, when you think back to certain experiences in your life and you think, "This person told me in so many ways they showed me in so many ways that they could not handle being in a relationship. They could not handle being in an equal relationship. They could not handle being, thinking about the future and all that stuff, and I thought I could, and so I could change their minds. This feels like it's easy for me, so I'll change their minds about it." And it's like sometimes you save yourself so much pain and heartache and disappointment by just saying, "Okay, thank you for telling me that, and I will move forward accordingly." Like, really listen to the things that people say. And I wish everybody was that truthful because as you were sharing your story, I thought there are so many people out there who convince you that they do want a relationship, that they do want the long-term thing, that they do wanna get married, that they do wanna have kids, and then over time, once the time comes for them to, back out, instead of them honestly speaking to you about it, they will start to make you feel like, "I do wanna get married, but not to you. I do want a long-term relationship, but not with you because you're this and you're that," and you think to yourself, "But I haven't changed. I'm still the same person you first met." And it's like they don't have the decency to be honest and say, "I changed my mind, and that actually wasn't something I was looking for from the start," or "It was something I was looking for from the start. I thought I wanted that, but I don't want it anymore." They don't tell us those words. They end up either cheating on us or they end up just treating us so badly to the point where we end up leaving, or they just end up breaking us, for lack of a better word. They break us in some way. And so the work at that point, if somebody wasn't honest with you and they ended up hurting you in such a terrible way, isn't to go inward and say, "That was my fault. I should have known better. I should have left earlier. I should have this. I should have that." Your job is to learn how to trust yourself more. Your job is to learn how to tell yourself, this was an experience for me. I learned a lot about myself and I learned a lot about my worth. And I'm not going to let this experience define my view of myself as faulty in some way, or my ability to invest so much in someone as something that makes me weak. I'm going to embrace all of those things about myself and celebrate them and just cut my losses instead of continuing to hold on to this person and say, but you owe me this and you owe me that and you promised me this and how could you go back on your word? All of that is continuing to take away from your present, which is really, it's taking away from your future, because every single moment that you continue to dwell on them and try to change them and try to change the story and try to get something, some kind of meaning from what you just went through, you're taking away from moments that you could be investing in other people, in yourself, in your career, in your friendships, in relationships, in anything. So there comes a point where you just have to tell yourself, this was terrible and it took up so much of my life. I'm going to take some time to grieve. And one thing I talk about in The One Who Broke You Can't Heal You is I talk a lot about grief, but I say it's really important. Like we talk about, um, laugh in the places you once cried. And in The One Who Broke You Can't Heal You, I say, I also think you should cry in the places you once laughed. It's so powerful, like, I'm getting goosebumps as I'm talking about this, to go back to the places where you experienced some of the most beautiful memories with that person that you're so hung up on, and sit with the current reality, because sometimes we keep really happy memories in the past, and we only let them make us sad when we think of them because they're no longer there. There is something that comes after sadness. There's acceptance. There's seeing reality for what it is and making peace with it, not in a way that says, that doesn't affect me anymore, but in a way that says, I can't keep lying to myself and telling myself that that happiness I felt in the past is still accessible to me, because it's not. This person who was once willing to engage with such happy memories with me is no longer the same person. And so this memory needs to be not rewritten, but it needs to stay where it is in the past, because now when I visit this place, I'm so aware of who this person has become that I can't see myself experiencing that same level of happiness with them. And you'll go through the motions of, did it really, like, was that moment real? Was that love real? Was what they were feeling real? And maybe all of it was real, but it's not anymore. And maybe it wasn't. Maybe they were putting on a show. And that part doesn't take away, like, the whether it was real or not, it doesn't take away from the way that you experienced it. Maybe it was real for you, and that's enough. So, instead of spending time trying to villainize them or trying to, um, discount the whole experience, no. Just because they turned out to be somebody that you didn't think they were, it doesn't mean that that experience was a waste of time. I don't care how long it took. It taught you something, and there's no point in labeling it as a waste.
I agree so much, and I'm curious if you agree with this, but I've always, and this has been my experience too, but the times that I am, trying to get answers from the other person or, dwelling on the past of the things that went wrong or what could I have done to change it and just getting stuck in all of the things that we're talking about. It's a lot of it for me is like a distraction from
Mhm.
the sadness of,
Yes.
because that is the alternative, is like, yes, it's, it's not fun to be sad. It's
Mhm.
not fun to have to cry and mourn and do all those things, but that is the path forward. And I think if, you know, going back to, let's say you do have, you spend months dwelling on these things, you do have that like one final coffee conversation with your ex or the person that broke you, and you do get your pain validated and you do get all the answers. I think at that point, you are still left with the sadness and you still
Yes.
have to work through that. So, if anything, it's just making this whole healing thing take longer, because there's really no way out of the sadness if you actually want to heal yourself.
Absolutely. I think, like, talk therapy and talking to your friends and trying to dissect the story and figure out what they're doing or who they're with now and whether they've changed and all that, trying to make sense of it, the trying to logic your way through it is a distraction. To a certain extent, it's not fully a distraction, but when that's all you're doing, yes. And when every time you're prompted to feel sad or to get pulled into the grief of maybe negotiating with past memories of them that are telling you, like, they were that way, maybe they could be that way again, and you know that you need to ignore that in order to move forward with your healing. Like, you know the risk of going back in your mind to how they were before, so you tell yourself, "Nope, I'm gonna call a friend and I'm gonna talk about how terrible they were and blah, blah, blah." That doesn't take away from the sadness, like you said, that you are supposed to feel when you think back to something that you really truly wanted. I find it to be one of the most beautiful things in the world for a person to say, "I really wanted it to work and it didn't," instead of saying, "I was too good for them anyway." You know? I feel like that's your ego talking. You were with them, you loved them, you thought they loved you, you cared about them, you thought they cared about you. It's like it's so much more powerful to just admit the truth and be sad over the fact that you didn't get what you wanted with them and move forward with your life. To come from such an authentic place with yourself first and with the people around you will make you even more, um it'll bring you closer to people who deserve to be in your life, because the more and more you stay in the place that says, "Be honest, be truthful, and don't let your ego get in the way," the more you deter the people who do come from their ego, who do, as in who do operate from their ego, who uh, are looking for somebody to pretend to be someone that they're not. And the third part in The One Who Broke You Can't Heal You is all about building soulful and meaningful connections with people. And for you to do that, you have to start with yourself. You have to start with being the person that you want to show up as in relationships. And that's not easy. Like, we think, "Oh, I'll just jump into a relationship and I'll act based on what my logic says I will be like." But the truth is, you're always going to act at the level of capacity that your body has, that your nervous system feels is safe for you, that your traumas tell you, "You can't go past this line." And so, what you don't heal, you can't heal just by pretending like you've healed. You have to do some work. And I know we do a lot of healing in relationships. Like, I do hear people say, like, "You don't heal while you're single, you're still gonna do a lot of healing in relationships," and I agree with that. But I also think that if you don't know how to be by yourself for an extended period of time, and if getting into a relationship is your way of dealing with your loneliness, unless the universe, God, whatever you believe in, has sent you a stroke of luck, an angel of a human being who's so secure, who is willing to work with your anxieties, your fears, your um, just what the remnants of everything that everyone in your past has left you with, you're going to suffer again with somebody else. And so for me, the most important thing is that you become for yourself what you have always been wanting in somebody else, is that you trust your decisions, even when those decisions seem like they're not logical. Like maybe you're getting to know somebody new and everything about them seems great, but something tells you, I don't want this. Like, this is not right for me. And a lot of the times we tell ourselves, there's no reason for me to be thinking this way. Maybe it's my fear. And it's like the best way to figure out the difference between fear based on everything you've been through versus fear based on what your nervous system recognizes in this person is, does the feeling come like it's a knowing, like you're resting in it, it's peaceful, like it's telling you this person isn't right for you? Or does it come as, let's end this conversation, I can't do this? Because if it comes like this rushed, panicked thing, those are your fears. But your intuition speaks to you in sentences and it says, this is not right for us. Like, I feel it in my soul. This is not right for us. And to trust yourself means to listen to that voice, even though there might be many other voices around you that are telling you, this is a great person, and this and this is that. And the beautiful part about trusting yourself is even if it turns out to be the wrong decision for you, you tell yourself, "Well, you know what? There were so many decisions I made in my life where I didn't trust myself and I went forward with it and it turned out to be the worst thing for me. So it's okay for me to mess up because I'm not perfect." But the fact that I prioritized my trust within myself over pleasing everyone else around me, that's a big deal. Like, just because everybody around you thinks there's something that's so great for you, and it might be great. A person you meet might be a great person, but you're not missing out because you recognize that that's not a great person for you. And so you're willing to accept the consequences of that decision.
And I think that provides such a it's a weird way to say it, but, like, to me, I feel like it brings this sense of freedom, of being
Mm,
able to have authority in making those decisions, and I was thinking too as you were talking, I think one of the big reasons that people do go back to the person that broke them is because there is this, and we've touched on it a little bit, there is this middle phase that is uncomfortable. You know, it is like you're navigating not only, you know, the pain of someone breaking your heart, you're also navigating just all the little things that come with a breakup, feelings of loneliness and big changes. And you think, wow, this feels so huge to try to fix. It seems so easy to just go back to this one person that feels like they could fix everything, you know?
oui.
But being able to sit in that discomfort
Mhm.
and slowly build the tools that will help in the long run. I feel like that helps so much in strengthening the intuition because it's like, okay, when things feel uncomfortable, I'm not just going to like reach for something that's going to fix it that's outside of myself.
Yes.
And so I think that, ultimately leads to being able to say, okay, if this person is making me feel uncomfortable, instead of just making a quick decision of like, this person needs to be out or I need to change. It's like, "Oh, okay, let me sit with this and explore this more of what does this really feel like to me
Yes.
and being able to go from there."
And I to add to that, do they ever really fix what they broke? It's
No,
always
yeah.
a patch, like, it's always a Band-Aid on a gushing wound. It feels good at first that your nervous system will confuse being around them with relief, and then a few minutes in or hours in, you're like, "Everything is still the same. Nothing has changed." And so this illusion that the one who broke you can heal you is an illusion. It's not real. A person who was willing to break the trust that you gave them to keep you whole, to love you properly, to treat you well, to never betray you, to advocate for you, to speak on your behalf in rooms that you're not present, who is willing to do the opposite of all of that, they don't have the capability to put you back together. It's like a surgeon can stitch someone back up, but a surgeon isn't the same person who put someone in a position where they need to be stitched back up. You go to the surgeon to fix this thing because somebody else broke it in some way. And so this person who broke you can't be the one that puts you back together. That's going to be a totally different person, and it starts with you. And sometimes you do meet somebody who says, "Let me help you with that." And I think that's beautiful. But don't rely just on that one person in your past who you have so much history with, who it just feels good to pick things back up where you left them and you're like, "They know me and we've been through so much." But it's like, what is the so much that you've been through? And
So much pain.
right, and does it outweigh the peace that you deserve, the safety that you deserve, the love that you deserve, the honesty and transparency and feeling like you're aligned and you're on the same path with this person and they trust you and they respect you and they treat you like an equal? Like, are you willing to let go of all of that just because it hurts too much to let them go and say, "You really broke me in ways that I just can't overlook. I can never see you the same way." Like, if you say those things enough times, then your body will start to believe them. It's one thing to say, "I know what I deserve," and another thing to actually live by what you deserve, and if you genuinely believe that you don't deserve to be broken in that way and that that's not what love looks like, then you won't have the yearning for them, and when you do, you can have an honest conversation with the parts of you that are yearning for them and say, "That's a younger part that wanted our parents to love us, that wanted our friends when we were younger to include us. That's not an adult part that knows that person isn't right for me." People who love you don't break you, ever. There is love is not just this broad term of affection. Like, I love you, but I was able to backstab you. Those 2 things don't go in the same sentence. I love you, but, I don't know what I was thinking, and I had my own needs, and I went and cheated on you. Those things don't go together. When you tell yourself someone who loves me would never break me, once they do break you, you don't see it as love anymore.
Yeah, that makes so much sense, and it makes sense too as, like, if you continue if someone does that and you continue to see it as love, it's like you're kinda reconditioning yourself to see love that way too, which that's not the love that any of us deserve.
No, no.
Um I feel like we, like, skimmed the surface of this book. I mean, I feel like there's so many notes that I, like, didn't even get to, but your book, The One Who Broke You Can't Heal You,
100%.
is out today as of this episode airing. So, there's so many amazing things that are in this book that we didn't even get a chance to talk about, and, I mean, the way that you can beautifully describe these really difficult feelings that I think we can all relate to and probably have never been able to put words to is just it's like you have such a gift. You have
Well,
such a gift and I'm so glad that you're sharing it with the world. So yes, please go out and get the book today. It's linked in the show notes and can you share how people can connect with you more if,
yes.
if they're not already, which I imagine most everyone is already connected with you.
Yeah, so The One Who Broke You Can't Heal You can be found absolutely wherever you buy books, and you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Threads. It's all the same handle at Najwa Zebian, and you can find all the links to purchase The One Who Broke You Can't Heal You on my website as well, najwazebian.com. And yeah, I'm really excited for you to start this journey, and I just know you will be a completely transformed person after you read this book.
Yes, I believe that so much too. And like I said, everything is linked in the show notes so people can grab it. And thank you so much for everything that you do and for coming to share with
Of
us. And I look
course.
forward to your next book to have you on again. So it's been such a pleasure once again. Thank you.
Same. Thank you so much.